The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as I pushed open the heavy door to the conference room. My heart skipped when I saw Nathan Cross sitting there alone, his face an expressionless mask. This wasn't the scheduled team meeting. Just him, waiting. "Eva, thanks for coming," he said, not bothering to stand. The words fell flat, rehearsed. This was the same Nathan who had been my best friend for 8 years, who had celebrated with me when we landed the AI contract that saved the company. Now he was just cold. "We're restructuring," he continued, sliding a folder across the polished table. "You're being reassigned, effective immediately." My fingers trembled as I opened it. Inside was a transfer notice to building maintenance. I looked up, stunned. "This is a joke, right?" I asked, his eyes narrowed. "Security will escort you to your new workspace. Your access codes have been changed." 2 guards appeared in the doorway. My stomach hollowed out as they walked me down, past the regular floors, into the sub-basement I didn't even know existed. They stopped at a grimy janitor's closet with a desk wedged between rusty shelves. "Welcome to your new office," one guard smirked, closing the door behind me. I waited 10 seconds, then pulled out the thumb drive from my pocket. Nathan didn't know what I'd found. 2 weeks earlier, I'd been working late, running diagnostics on our AI platform. Something kept nagging at me, small inconsistencies in the test logs, outputs that didn't match our inputs. I dug deeper, tracking changes to the codebase. That's when I found it. Someone had been accessing our system after hours, making tiny adjustments to the learning parameters. Changes so small they'd go unnoticed unless you were looking closely. But together, they created a backdoor, a way to extract our core algorithms. I took my concerns to Philip, our CTO. His face went pale as I showed him the logs. "This is serious, Eva," he whispered, glancing toward the door. "Let me look into it quietly. Don't tell anyone else." The next morning, Philip was gone. An email announced he'd taken an unexpected sabbatical, effective immediately. When I tried calling him, his number was disconnected. That night, I backed up everything I could find onto this thumb drive. The timestamps, the access logs, the code changes. I wasn't sure what I was looking at yet, but it felt wrong. Now, sitting in this dingy basement room, I plugged the drive into my laptop. Whatever Nathan was hiding, I was going to find it. I'd been in the basement for 3 days when a soft knock startled me. I quickly closed my laptop and called, "Come in." The door creaked open, revealing Cam, my former intern. His eyes widened at the sight of my office. "They told everyone you quit," he said quietly, slipping inside and closing the door. "Said you had a family emergency." I laughed bitterly. "As you can see, I'm still here." Cam glanced nervously at the hallway. "Something weird is happening upstairs. They're locking down access to the AI servers. Only Nathan's new team can get in." He pulled a small hard drive from his pocket. "I made a copy of the latest build before they restricted it. Thought you might need it." My heart swelled with gratitude. "Cam, this is... thank you." After he left, I examined what he'd brought. It wasn't just the AI build. It was a full system backup, including network logs. Cam had been paying attention to my security protocols all along. I found something immediately. A series of remote connections from an IP address I didn't recognize. Someone had been pulling data from our servers for months, but who? I needed more information and allies. This basement might be my prison, but it was also going to be my command center. The basement had been neglected for years, including its security systems. While exploring, I discovered an ancient maintenance terminal still connected to the building's camera network. Most feeds were dead, but a few still functioned, including one aimed directly at the executive boardroom. I settled in with a cup of terrible vending machine coffee and started watching. For hours, nothing interesting happened. Then Nathan entered with a woman I didn't recognize. Sharp suit, expensive watch, confident stride. They closed the door, but the camera's audio still worked. "Our board doesn't know yet," Nathan was saying. "But the IP transfer can happen as soon as you wire the first payment." The woman nodded. "Cipher Corp is prepared to move quickly, but we need to be sure there won't be any complications." "The only person who suspected anything has been neutralized," Nathan replied. My blood went cold. "Eva Monroe won't be a problem anymore." The woman smiled. "Alex will be pleased to hear that." "Alex?" My ex-boyfriend Alex Novak worked at Cipher Corp. The same Alex who knew all about our AI research because I talked about it during our relationship. My hands shook as I replayed the footage. Nathan wasn't just reassigning me, he was selling our technology to our biggest competitor, and my ex was involved. I needed to understand my prison if I was going to escape it. The basement layout was a maze of forgotten rooms and utility corridors. I created a fake maintenance request for building plans, but doubted anyone would respond. To my surprise, someone showed up the next morning. A tall, quiet man with tired eyes and calloused hands introduced himself as Jules, building maintenance supervisor. "You're the new girl they sent down," he said, not quite a question. "Apparently." I smiled tightly. "I need schematics for the ventilation system." Jules studied me for a long moment. "You're not maintenance. You're the AI developer, Eva Monroe." I froze. "How did you?" "I know everyone who comes and goes," he interrupted, "and I know when someone gets buried." He pulled a folded paper from his pocket. "Building plans. All floors, including security camera positions and server room access points." "Why would you help me?" I asked. Jules's eyes darkened. 2 years ago, they buried my friend David Chen the same way. A month later, he supposedly jumped from the roof. He headed for the door. "Whatever you're into, be careful. The fall is a long one." I studied the plans. If Nathan was selling our technology, there would be records. And now I knew exactly how to find them. With Cam's backup and Jules's building plans, I turned my closet office into an investigation headquarters. I spent days combing through the AI system logs, searching for any clue about what made our technology so valuable to Cipher Corp. Our AI wasn't just designed for business applications. Its learning algorithms could adapt to almost any problem. But its real value was in its efficiency. It could run on minimal hardware while still outperforming competitors. While examining the core functions, I discovered something strange, a hidden routine that duplicated certain learning modules and sent them to an external server. The code was elegant, nearly invisible unless you knew what to look for. It had my coding style, but I definitely hadn't written it. Someone had studied my work closely enough to mimic it. Someone who had access to everything. Someone like Nathan. I traced the external server. It belonged to a shell company that, after some digging, I linked to Cipher Corp. The evidence was clear. Nathan had been slowly stealing our AI technology piece by piece, making it look like routine system updates. By the time the transfer was complete, Cipher Corp would have everything they needed to rebuild our entire platform. I was watching corporate espionage in slow motion, and I was the only one who could stop it. Jules returned the next day with an old maintenance badge. "This will get you into most areas after hours," he explained. "Security doesn't monitor the basement cameras anymore." As we talked, I asked about his friend David, the engineer who supposedly jumped. Jules' expression darkened. "David was brilliant, working on advanced AI architecture, probably similar to your project. He started noticing code changes he hadn't authorized when he investigated." Jules trailed off. "What did he find?" I prompted. "I don't know exactly, but the night before he died, he came to me, panicked, said he'd discovered something big, that Nathan Cross was involved in something illegal." Jules stared at the floor. "Next morning, they found him on the pavement. Suicide, they said. No investigation." I felt cold. "David Chen, was he my predecessor on the AI team?" Jules nodded. "He trained you, didn't he?" My throat tightened. David had been my mentor. He'd recruited me personally. I'd always thought his death was strange, but suicide? I never questioned it. "Nathan told everyone David had been depressed," I said slowly. "That the pressure got to him." "David wasn't depressed," Jules said firmly. "He was murdered." The pieces were falling into place. David had discovered what Nathan was doing, and Nathan had silenced him permanently. Would I be next? Using Jules's badge, I ventured out of the basement at night. The building was eerily quiet after hours, my footsteps echoing in empty hallways. I made my way to Philip's office, or rather, what had been his office before his sudden sabbatical. The room had been cleared out, wiped clean, but they'd missed something in their hurry. A loose ceiling tile where Philip kept his emergency backup drive. I'd seen him access it once when our main servers crashed. I climbed onto his desk, pushed aside the tile, and felt around in the darkness. My fingers brushed against cold metal. The drive was still there. Back in my basement hideout, I connected it to my laptop. Most files were corrupted, but one video file remained intact. The timestamp showed it was recorded the night before Philip disappeared. The footage was dark and the audio poor, but I could make out Philip's face, tense with fear. "If you're seeing this, I'm already gone," he began. "I've confirmed Eva's suspicions. Nathan has been systematically stealing our technology, but it's worse than that." The video glitched, cutting out several seconds. When it resumed, Philip was saying, "Connected to David Chen's death, I found communications between Nathan and someone at Cipher Corp, a man named Alex Novak. The video cut off completely. My ex-boyfriend wasn't just involved, he was at the center of this. I needed to know how deep Alex's involvement went. Still reeling from discovering his connection to David's death, I made a risky move. I texted him, 'Need to talk, dinner tomorrow, just us, important.' His reply came quickly, 'Eva, been thinking about you, 8 p.m. at Martino's?' The upscale restaurant was public enough to be safe, private enough for conversation. I arrived early, chose a corner table, and set my phone to record. Alex looked good when he walked in. Confident, expensive suit, perfect smile. We dated for nearly a year before his sudden job offer at Cipher Corp created a conflict of interest. The breakup had been painful but professional, or so I'd thought. "Eva," he greeted warmly, kissing my cheek. "You look tired. Everything okay?" I forced a smile. "Work stress, you know how it is." We ordered drinks. I let him talk about himself, his promotion, his new apartment. Finally, I steered the conversation toward business. "Cipher Corp must be doing well. I heard rumors you're acquiring some new tech." His smile flickered. "Where did you hear that?" "Office gossip," I said lightly. "Something about AI patents." Alex's expression hardened for just a moment before his charm returned. "Nonsense. Though if you're ever looking to make a change, I could put in a word." His denial confirmed everything. Alex was lying to my face, just like Nathan had. I had the proof I needed. Now I just had to stay alive long enough to use it. Jules's building plans showed a server room on the 7th floor that housed our most sensitive data, including all executive communications. If Nathan and Alex had been planning this for months, the evidence would be there. The problem? The server room required an executive keycard. I couldn't hack or bypass it without setting off alarms. I shared my dilemma with Jules, who thought for a moment before saying, "Leave it to me." The next day, he appeared with a maintenance request form. "Air conditioning issue in the server room," he explained. "I'm authorized to check it, and I need an assistant." He handed me a uniform and cap. "Keep your head down." My heart pounded as we rode the elevator up. No one looked twice at maintenance workers. The security guard at the server room barely glanced at Jules's work order before swiping us in. "You have 10 minutes, Jules whispered as the door closed behind us. "I'll watch the door." I worked frantically, downloading everything from Nathan's private server. Emails, calendar appointments, financial records. I was about to disconnect when the alarm blared. "Someone's coming," Jules hissed. "There's a service corridor behind that panel. Take it down to level 3, then use the stairs to the basement. Go." I slipped through the hidden exit just as the main door opened. Through the crack, I glimpsed security guards rushing in. I ran, clutching the thumb drive, with what I hoped was enough evidence to bring Nathan down. The hunt was on. I spent the next day analyzing what I'd stolen from the server room. What I found made me sick. Nathan had been planning this for over 2 years, since before David's death. Emails between him and Alex detailed a scheme to gradually extract our AI technology and sell it to Cipher Corp for millions. Nathan would get a percentage plus a leadership position at Cipher Corp. All he had to do was deliver our company's most valuable asset. There were references to removing obstacles and handling the Chen situation. Nothing explicitly mentioned murder, but the timing matched David's death. Most disturbing was a recent message. Monroe situation contained. Proceed with final extraction and transfer. Nathan thought he'd neutralize me by sticking me in the basement. He had no idea I was building a case against him. I compiled the most damning evidence into a single file, added Philip's video and the boardroom footage. Then I sent an anonymous email with selected clips to board member Eleanor Walsh, the company's most ethical executive. Her response came within hours. Her resignation. She didn't mention the evidence, simply cited irreconcilable differences with current leadership. It wasn't the reaction I'd hoped for, but it told me something important. The board was either compromised or too scared to act. I couldn't count on them for help. I needed to take Nathan down myself. Cam knocked on my door, looking panicked. "They're on to us," he whispered. "HR called me in. They know I've been helping you." My heart sank. "What did they say?" "They offered me a promotion to senior developer, said all I had to do was report any contact with you." His eyes searched mine. "I didn't tell them anything, but they're watching me now." I considered our options. Having Cam as my only connection to the upper floors was too valuable to lose. But I also couldn't risk his career, or worse, his safety. "Maybe you should take it," I said slowly. Cam looked shocked. "What? No way. I'm not betraying you." "Not for real," I explained. "Tell them you'll do it. Become their insider, but actually be mine." Understanding dawned on his face. A double agent. "Exactly. They'll give you more access thinking you're helping them. But be careful. If Nathan suspected David enough to hurt him." Cam nodded solemnly. "I'll be careful. What do you need me to find out?" "When the final transfer is happening, and who on the board is involved." I squeezed his shoulder. "Don't take any unnecessary risks." After you left, I worried. Had I just put another person in danger? But I needed allies, and Cam was volunteering. Together, we might just have a chance to expose Nathan before it was too late. The clock was ticking. While working on our AI platform, I'd built in standard security protocols, but nothing that would stop a determined thief like Nathan. Now that I knew what he was planning, I needed to create something stronger, a kill switch. Using Cam's backup of the latest build, I coded a hidden subroutine into the AI's core functions. If anyone tried to transfer the complete system to a new owner, it would trigger a cascading failure, corrupting key algorithms while simultaneously sending an alert to regulators at the FTC. The code was designed to activate if certain legal parameters were breached, specifically, if the technology was sold without proper board approval or regulatory review. Nathan wouldn't find it unless he was looking for it, and even then, it was disguised as a routine error-checking function. I called it my poison pill. If Nathan tried to hand our technology to CipherCorp, it would become worthless and create a bright, flashing signal to authorities that something illegal was happening. Getting it into the live system would be tricky. I'd need Cam's help to update the production environment during the next scheduled maintenance window. It was risky, but it gave me some insurance. If I couldn't stop the sale entirely, I could at least make sure Nathan and CipherCorp didn't profit from it. But I was still hoping for a better outcome. Nathan in handcuffs, and our company's technology safe. Jules rigged a maintenance tablet to receive a live feed from the boardroom camera. That afternoon, the board convened for what the agenda called a strategic partnership discussion. I watched from my basement hideout, pulse quickening as Nathan took his place at the head of the table. "Thank you all for coming on short notice," he began smoothly. "As you know, we've been exploring options to maximize shareholder value. Today, I'm pleased to announce we have an offer from CipherCorp to acquire our AI division." Murmurs rippled around the table. A silver-haired man frowned. "This is the first we're hearing of this, Nathan. What's the timeline?" Nathan's smile didn't reach his eyes. "That's why I've called this emergency meeting. CipherCorp is prepared to move immediately, but their offer expires in 72 hours. We need to vote now." Another board member leaned forward. "What about regulatory approval? A technology transfer of this magnitude would require FTC review." "Already handled," Nathan lied smoothly. "Our legal team has structured this as an asset sale, not a technology transfer. No regulatory hurdles." This was it. Nathan was bypassing normal procedures to rush the sale through before anyone could examine it closely. And from the nodding heads around the table, most of the board was buying it. I watched in horror as they scheduled the final vote for Friday morning, just 2 days away. The countdown to losing everything had begun. After the board meeting, Cam slipped me a draft of the CipherCorp contract. "Legal just got this," he whispered. I only had 5 minutes with it. I scanned the document, looking for anything we could use. Most of it was standard acquisition language, but on page 47, something caught my eye. A clause stating that the sale would be nullified if any party was found to have violated securities laws or engaged in corporate espionage. It was a standard protection for the buyer, Cipher Corp wanted to ensure they weren't purchasing stolen goods. Ironically, that's exactly what they were doing. If I could prove Nathan had been secretly transferring our technology before the official sale, which the server logs confirmed, this clause would void the entire deal. But I needed more than digital logs. I needed Nathan to incriminate himself explicitly, on record. And I needed to find out who else was involved. Nathan couldn't have done all this alone. An idea formed. Nathan thought I was neutralized, forgotten in the basement. What if I suddenly surrendered and asked for my job back? Would he be arrogant enough to let me close again, thinking I'd given up? It was dangerous, putting myself directly in his sights again. But it might be the only way to get the evidence I needed before Friday's vote. I drafted a humble email to Nathan, swallowing my pride with every word. Nathan's response to my email was predictably smug. He agreed to meet me in his office, to discuss your future with the company. I dressed carefully in my most non-threatening outfit, mentally preparing to face the man who had betrayed our friendship and possibly murdered my mentor. My hands shook as I rode the elevator up to the executive floor. Nathan's new assistant eyed me suspiciously before buzzing me in. The office was exactly as Ivor remembered: expansive windows, modern furniture, the framed photo of us at the product launch party 2 years ago, before everything changed. "Eva," Nathan gestured to a chair. "I was surprised to hear from you." I forced humility into my voice. "I've had time to think in the basement. I understand the company's moving in a new direction. And you want to be part of it?" His smile was predatory. I nodded, eyes downcast. "I still believe in what we built, if there's any role for me after the restructuring." Nathan leaned back, studying me. "Actually, there might be. Cipher Corp specifically asked about you." My heart stuttered. "They're impressed with your work. Alex Novak suggested you might be valuable to their team." So that was the play. They didn't just want the technology, they wanted me to help implement it, probably to fix any issues during the transfer. Then they'd discard me too. "I'd be open to that," I lied. "Actually, I've been meaning to call Alex." Nathan's eyes narrowed slightly. "I'm sure he'd be pleased to hear from you." Little did Nathan know, I was recording every word. Back in my basement office, I replayed my conversation with Nathan. It wasn't the smoking gun I'd hoped for, but it confirmed Alex's involvement in the acquisition. I needed to act fast. The board vote was tomorrow morning. First, I activated my poison pill code with Cam's help during the evening system update. It was now embedded in the live AI platform, ready to trigger if they tried to transfer it to Cipher Corp. Next, I prepared a comprehensive evidence package. Server logs showing the unauthorized data transfers, Nathan's emails with Alex, Philip's video, the boardroom footage, everything. I set it up to automatically send to the SEC, FTC, and 3 technology journalists if I didn't enter a special code every 12 hours. Insurance, in case Nathan decided I was too big a risk. Finally, I drafted what looked like a resignation letter. The document appeared normal, but contained a hidden script. If Nathan opened it from his executive account, it would grant me temporary access to his email, allowing me to send the evidence from his own account, making it impossible to deny. I sent the letter to Nathan with a simple note: "For your records before my transfer to Cipher Corp." His arrogance would be his downfall. He wouldn't suspect a thing until it was too late. Tomorrow would determine whether I saved our company or went down fighting. The morning of the board vote arrived. Using Jules' security badge, I moved through the building's maintenance routes, avoiding cameras. My plan was simple, but dangerous. I needed to be in the boardroom when they made the final decision. Nathan had replaced the regular security team with private contractors. Men who wouldn't recognize me or question strange orders. I watched them patrol from the shadows, noting their routines. Cam had done his part beautifully. As a newly trusted team member, he'd been asked to prepare the AI demo for the board. What Nathan didn't know was that Cam had modified the presentation to include hidden slides that would appear at my signal. Slides showing the illegal data transfers in progress. Jules handled the physical access, looping the security feeds for 3 key corridors so I could move upstairs undetected. "Be careful," he warned. "Once you're in the boardroom area, you're exposed." I timed my approach perfectly, slipping into the executive floor bathroom just before the meeting was scheduled to begin. From there, I could access the small server closet that connected to the boardroom's presentation system. Through the thin wall, I heard the board members arriving, exchanging pleasantries. Then Nathan's voice, confident and smooth. "Ladies and gentlemen, today we finalized the most significant deal in our company's history." I checked my watch. In exactly 7 minutes, Cam would start the presentation, and everything would change. Just as I was about to trigger the modified presentation, I heard a commotion in the boardroom. Through the wall came raised voices, then Nathan speaking sharply. "Security, please escort Mr. Reynolds out." "Cam." They discovered him. I peered through a vent to see 2 guards gripping Cam by the arms, marching him toward the elevator. Nathan addressed the board smoothly. "Apologies for the interruption. It seems one of our junior developers was uncomfortable with progress. Nothing to worry about." My heart sank. Without Cam to run the presentation, half my plan was ruined. But I couldn't help him without exposing myself. My phone vibrated, a text from an unknown number. "Check executive washroom, left cabinet, password, Chen1234. Who had sent this? It wasn't from Cam or Jules. I slipped back to the bathroom and found a tablet hidden in the cabinet. The password unlocked it, revealing a complete mirror of Nathan's computer, including control of the boardroom presentation system. Someone else was helping me. But who? No time to wonder. I quickly loaded my evidence onto the presentation queue, set to trigger when Nathan called for the vote. As I worked, another text came through. "Got fired, but planted the seed. Nathan's desk drawer, left side, skeleton key." Cam had managed one last act of sabotage before being caught. Whatever was in Nathan's desk would be critical, but to access it, I'd have to walk right into the lion's den. The board meeting was in full swing. Using Jules's master key, I slipped into Nathan's office while everyone was distracted. Heart pounding, I tried the left desk drawer. Locked. I checked under the desktop, a small key taped underneath, just where an overconfident executive might hide it. Inside the drawer was a manila folder marked personal. I rifled through it quickly, finding what must be Cam's seed, a handwritten letter on Cipher Corp letterhead, signed by Nathan himself, dated 6 months ago. "I confirm initiation of preliminary technology transfer as discussed. Will begin systematic extraction of core algorithms as planned. Board remains unaware. Expect full transfer completed by Q4. Compensation as agreed." My hands trembled. This was it. Absolute proof that Nathan had been secretly transferring our technology long before the board knew anything. The letter violated securities laws, fiduciary duty, and probably half a dozen other regulations. I snapped a photo with my phone just as voices approached from the hallway. The meeting was breaking for a short recess before the final vote. I ducked behind the door as Nathan and Alex entered, mid-conversation. "Once the vote passes, we'll finish the transfer tonight," Nathan was saying. "And the Monroe problem?" Alex asked. "Being handled permanently. After the deal closes, of course." I froze, barely breathing. They were planning to handle me just like they had David. I had to act now. I waited until Nathan and Alex returned to the boardroom before making my move. Using the tablet, I remotely hacked the presentation system. Just as Nathan called for the vote, I triggered my evidence slides. The boardroom screen suddenly displayed damning emails, server logs, and Philip's warning video. Nathan lunged for the controls, but too late. I pushed open the door. "This is fraud, corporate espionage, and possibly murder," I announced. Nathan's face went white. "This is ridiculous," he sputtered. "Security." "Everything was already sent to the SEC," I said calmly, holding up his letter. "Written proof of your crimes." Security arrived, but moved toward Nathan and Alex instead of me. Jules stood behind them, nodding slightly. "Perfect timing," I smiled. "These gentlemen need to speak with authorities." The board meeting exploded into chaos. Nathan desperately tried to regain control, but when he realized it was hopeless, he made a break for the door, only to be blocked by security. Alex immediately turned on Nathan. I had no idea he was stealing technology. Cipher Corp acted in good faith. "You knew everything," Nathan shouted back. "This was your idea." Their mutual betrayal sealed their fate. The board unanimously voted to remove Nathan as CEO. I watched with mixed emotions as security escorted Nathan from the building. This man had been my friend before greed corrupted him. The chairman approached me as everyone left. "Ms. Monroe, the board would like to meet tomorrow about the company's future, and your role in it." After weeks in the basement, things were finally looking up. The next week was a whirlwind. The FBI launched investigations into Nathan and Alex while CipherCorp's stock crashed. Most importantly, police reopened the investigation into David Chen's death. Jules found me in the hallway, his expression unusually emotional. "They found fingerprints on David's rooftop door that weren't his," he said quietly, "and evidence of a struggle they missed before." "Nathan's prints?" I asked. Jules shook his head. "Someone else's. Thank you. David deserved justice." Cam returned with a promotion and admitted leaving the tablet, his last act after being caught. Philip emerged from hiding, his testimony further condemning Nathan. Slowly, our company began healing from the damage Nathan had caused. 1 month later, I sat at the boardroom table as an invited guest, not hiding behind walls or sneaking through corridors. "We've unanimously decided the company needs leadership that understands both technology and values," the chairman announced. "Ms. Monroe, we'd like to offer you the position of Chief Technology Officer, with a path to CEO. From basement exile to executive leadership in 1 month." But something held me back. "I'm honored," I said. "But I need assurances this can never happen again. We need transparency, whistleblower protections, and ethical oversight." I presented my reform plan. They agreed to my terms, and I accepted the position. My first official act was establishing the David Chen Ethics Fellowship. The basement where Nathan tried to bury me became an innovation lab. Sometimes the best ideas come from unexpected places. 1 year later, I sat in Nathan's former office, watching city lights twinkle. Our company thrived. Nathan was serving 8 years for espionage and fraud. Alex had turned state's evidence. David's death was ruled a homicide. Jules stopped by on his retirement day. "David would be proud of you," he said before leaving. I touched my new plaque, Forbes Innovator of the Year. The recognition felt good, but wasn't why I'd fought. I did it for everyone who believes doing right matters, even against powerful forces. Nathan thought the basement would silence me. Instead, it gave me the perfect vantage point to bring him down. Sometimes, your greatest power comes when others underestimate you.